Hey guys, good early morning. Now, Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz went back and forth for an hour and a half, and Walz got off to a rocky start when asked about supporting a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran. Listen.
Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there.
Vance spent much of the debate highlighting former President Trump's record and reminding viewers who is currently in the White House.
Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you've simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens.
The CBS News rules for the debate barred the moderators from fact-checking the candidates, but despite those rules, the moderators attempted to fact-check Vance until he flipped the script and corrected them on immigration.
Just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand.
Meanwhile, Walz suffering several gaffes while trying to defend Kamala Harris's record and his own policy changes.
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but it's only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was the NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice.
And with that, there are only 34 days until the election.
Damn, this burger's good. Yo, Chinaman, taste some of that American democracy. You, me, rap battle now. America, the most powerful force. We're shooting down y'all while we're winning your boss. Come on, man, you think you can rap? You probably work in a sweatshop and eat cat. Hey,
you f***ing fat. Your mama told me you need a smack. A Chinatown here, a Chinatown there. Before you even know it, Chinatown everywhere.
What? Huh? Could you say that again? Cause I barely understood a word that you said.
But we're the best fighter. Nothing will be finer. Soon the whole world will be made in China.
It's an all-timer. It's an all-timer. Soon the entire world will be made in China. How does their faces fit so well on that? It's an art hanging in the Louvre. It's art. We posted it. It's elite content. It's elite content. It's why you tune in. Thank you for tuning in last night. All-time record-breaking show. 80,000 concurrents last night for one hell of a performance. J.D. Vance, man. Ooh. Brought the entire choir and the music and the hallelujah chorus. Tim Walz sent crying off to his school shooter friends. Ooh, baby. And the assassination attempts by the moderators did not work. They all had to join Tim Walz and his bus full of school shooters going back to wherever the hell they deserve to go. You and I both know where they deserve to go, into unemployment. We think that by next presidential cycle, there won't even be an NBC News. That's our take. Our take is that ABC News and NBC News won't exist by 2028. Will Tim Walz, will he even exist in 2028? Will he emigrate back to China? Will J.D. Vance be the next presidential contender? That's what I'm seeing in my feed all morning. We're going to cover everything on this show. Oh man, we have a lot to get to. J.D. Vance cementing himself, I think, as a 2028 front runner right now. And that's nuts because I got to be honest with you. I don't know JD Vance as well as some of the people in our circle. There's a tight circle of awesome people that love JD Vance and have always been saying he is the man. However, he's had a rough go, honestly, because the media has castigated him as some type of leering, lurching ogre, knuckle dragging, staring and watching your kids sleep as he drools. And so, like, most of the country has been psyoped into thinking that's who JD Vance is. And what they saw last night was a crisp, clean, clear, calm man who, like, did not get ruffled, who did not get upset, who was not overly emotional, who was steady as a beam of iron. JD Vance, absolutely clear-eyed, and was able to deliver absolute can't lose arguments. It was wonderful to see. And it was for a very specific audience. We're going to get into it. I've thought about this quite a bit, actually. And man, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to the polls after this. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. JD Vance destroys Tim Walz in debate. We have confirmation that JD Vance, mathematical and algorithmic confirmation that JD Vance won the debate. Trump posts hysterical memes roasting Tampon Tim. New memes were created last night, and all of them are great for JD Vance. Now the guy is inside of meme Cooperstown. It's always a good place to be. Alina Habba joins the program to talk about the debate performance and then to also talk about some very creepy breaking news about Kamala Harris's husband. Corey Mills and Jeremy from The Quartering also joined the show, a stacked show for you. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. We hope that you were watching last night on your Patriot mobile phone. If you did, then you'd have a crystal clear and good connection to see every second of the debate. We're going to recover it here. We're going to go into the major highlights of the debate. But if you were with us watching live last night on Patriot Mobile, you were also making sure that you're funding companies that don't hate you, companies that stand up for conservative and Christian values. That's why we love partnering with Patriot Mobile. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT right now. Get a free month. When you use the offer code Benny. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, who won the debate? This is the number one search in all of the world. Google trending today. Who won the debate? I want to answer that question off the top before we get to highlights, because it is really, really definitive, and it's very, very clear. Here we go. The article of the day from the Daily Mail. Who won the debate? Authoritatively, JD Vance declared winner over Tim Walz. This is in Daily Mail poll, but also in CBS, in CNN, on NBC. There's only one person that thinks that Tim Walz won, and it's Rachel Maddow, and she's crying over it. We have footage of her crying literal tears. I hope that's our salt that lib of the day. If it's not, let's make sure that we get that. This is Rachel Maddow salting so bad last night. On the verge of tears. You can hear her voice cracking. It's amazing. A real just make sure that you can't have this much sodium at one time. There's going to be so much sodium flowing, so much salt flowing in November. We got to make sure that we build up our capacity, that we capacity build. So we'll make sure that you get some salt today with the Rachel Maddow clip, which is hysterical. Oh, man. So JD Vance wins, and JD Vance can leave New York the victor after his one and only debate, vice presidential rival Tim Walz, according to Daily Mail. The CBS showdown just 35 days before the general election was a chance for the vice presidential picks to prove that they were qualified a heartbeat away from the presidency. The candidates tangled over issues like abortion, immigration, gun violence, and the Middle East, all rigged issues that we can prove to you that were rigged and that Tim Walz lied about. Two took plenty of chances to present each other as extreme or weird. They also bigged up their bosses, Trump and Kamala Harris, in the final campaign sprint. But it was Vance who left the best impression on viewers. A strong start. Vance, a very nervy and creepy opponent, dodging questions. According to the Daily Mail poll, JL Partnership poll, of 800 likely voters, 50% say Vance won, 40% say Walz was the victor. I have a feeling there's some confirmation bias in that. Oh, yeah, baby. This is a amazing, amazing sign. And it's something that obviously was confirmed. Let's scroll on down to the poll performance there. There you go, Klein. Killer Klein is back. This is obviously confirmed by everyone who's watching. And I want to jump really quickly here so we can establish who won the debate. All right. I want to establish this very, very clearly. CNN says CNN, of all places, saying that Vance wins the debate. You got to see it. Here we go. CNN instant polling. Vance wins debate. Here's what CNN said live on air. Let's go. Clip on.
I think there was a clear lack of preparation and execution here on Walz's part.
I think actually it's the opposite. I think he had too much preparation.
Maybe, yeah.
He had so many lines that he was clearly trying to say that he didn't listen and said when J.D. Vance said one of the many things he really hit Kamala Harris on, not Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris, he didn't respond because he clearly had things in his mind. I think the lack of interviews that he has done with national media, with local media, it showed. He needed more reps.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, J.D. Vance is much more experienced at this, at public speaking, at defending himself.
So, wait a second. CNN is saying that Tim Walz is cringe? This is amazing. CNN, Vance won. He was much clearer. He hit Kamala Harris. And then also, it wasn't J.D. Vance who was weird.
What I think isn't as relevant as what I was hearing from Democrats who were kind of doing it, whatever you do to cringe over a text, they were not thrilled about that answer.
It was very cringy. I mean, and he should have known that it was coming.
Okay. It was very cringy. A reminder, we're going to get into J.D. Vance's, because J.D. Vance could have gone for the jugular. And we know that J.D. Vance has the capacity to do this. So why didn't he do it last night? You know, J.D. Vance could have, like Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom, could have reached into the rib cage and ripped the heart out, proverbially and politically, of Tim Walz and held it in his beating hand. He could have done it, but he didn't. And we know why. We know why. We've done some research on this, and it's actually quite interesting. Here's John Carl. Dude, these are like Democrat paid propagandists saying, these are the people who have led the smear campaign against J.D. Vance, saying J.D. Vance killed it. Watch.
You know, but first, David, I got to say, I think that Walz did seem unsteady. And frankly, what I saw in Walz is somebody who has not faced questions on a national stage since he became the Democratic nominee. He was simply out of practice. I mean, I don't know why they've done it, but they've kept him out of the limelight. They've kept him away from reporters. They haven't had him do any interviews. And he was clearly unsteady through much of that debate. And in contrast, J.D. Vance was very smooth. He took the arguments not to Walz. He was very respectful of Walz, took it to Kamala Harris.
Ooh, very respectful, very smooth. Very demure. Wow. Mindful. He was actually very mindful. Pretty interesting. Do we have this one from CBS? Let's load that one, boys. I got that. Let's load this one. The CBS Snap poll. This was obviously on CBS. Very demure. Oh, yes. Thank you, Ashley. all the young kids on staff keep me up with the slogans. It's very interesting because across the spectrum, the corporate media who have been slandering J.D. Vance, we're all running to praise him. It's incredible. I think we have this last clip from CBS. Killer Clown, let me know when it's loaded. Okay. Because this one's wild. CBS did run the debate, and they did everything they could to run J.D. Vance into the ground and said he ran circles around them. And then they said this.
Economy, I'll make a political point, which is that what Vance did was something Donald Trump was incapable of doing during his presidential debate, which is repeatedly saying, if Kamala Harris was going to do these things, why didn't she in office? Now, whether voters buy that or not, Tim Walz mentioned the Inflation Reduction Act and a variety of other items under Biden. But returning to that political point has worked in the past for Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton. We'll see if it works this time. I'd like to make a final point on tone. The J.D. Vance on that stage was very different than what people may have seen in podcasts. But then there was an air of unreality about it. He talked about bipartisan solutions with nuance of a kind we never saw during the Trump administration. He talked.
There's nuance. He's making the point that Kamala Harris didn't do anything. But Kamala Harris, hasn't done anything. This is CBS. This is CBS's direct reaction to the debate. That J.D. Vance makes the point that Kamala Harris hasn't done anything. Hasn't done jack. Of course, you would expect that J.D. Vance's friend and ally, Don Jr., would be making a very smart and cutting remarks after this in the spin room, and he was. Here's a little dive into Don Jr. in the spin room after the debate, saying this was a masterclass by J.D. Vance, and we agree. Here we go.
Thanks, Jake. I'm here in the spin room with Donald Trump Jr. You urged your dad to pick J.D. Vance as his running mate famously a few months ago. How do you think he did tonight?
I thought it was a masterclass. It was just an incredible performance, just real command of the facts. Didn't let sort of the fake fact check, try to steamroll him. He came back with actual facts. I think he literally won every issue across the board. I think he was actually very comfortable on so many of the issues that Republicans tend to fail. He was probably more comfortable in those issues than most Republicans are, even on our strong points. So I think it was an incredible debate. We've been leading with incompetence and weakness for 4 years. The world has watched, and they've capitalized on that. Our enemies, Iran, wants Kamala Harris to be president. They've said that. They've leaked documents to her, stolen from our campaign, that they hacked. Russia has said they want Kamala Harris to be president. Because a weak America is good for Russia, a weak America is good for Iran, and a weak America is great for China, all of whom are chomping at the bit for a Harris-Walz administration and the continuation of the Biden policies that have failed America for the last 3.5 years.
So let's establish a couple of things. And here's the CBS poll about who won the debate, showing that J.D. Vance won a debate. Again, they did everything they could to rig it against J.D. Vance. And this is the point that I wish to make here. This debate was probably not for you. I've thought about this a bit. I think everyone's very, very proud of the way that J.D. Vance performed here. But this debate was actually not for us. And I've thought about this, and I want to cement it here. Donald Trump has already won us. Elections are not about subtraction, they're about addition. This is the last chance for the campaigns to be on the same stage together. The rest of the race, it will literally be a sprint to the finish. MAGA rallies and ad blitzes. Here's President Trump walking into a UFC event. And we've been in these rooms with him. We've seen Donald Trump do this. We've been up close. We dapped up President Trump in the front row. We're here watching this happen. You watch 30,000 people in Madison Square Garden screaming their heads off for Donald Trump, walking up to the octagon. Joe Rogan dabbing him up. Dana White, every fighter going up and blessing Trump. It's crazy. They win their fights. They hop the fence. They hop the cage, and they walk over and they pay homage to Trump. We've won the men, okay? We've won the guys who are in the arena, the battle-hardened men. And people that actually have a good, sturdy spine. Those people are voting Trump. All the polls show they're voting Trump. What we haven't done, and this is obviously because of the rigged nature and the psyop nature of our corporate press, the lying, the egregious and just endless, ceaseless lying, is there are independents and women who've broken hard against the Republican Party. We're talking in huge numbers, especially single women, broke really, really hard against the Republican Party. That's the addition. You need to peel off 1% of that. J.D. Vance, and we've proven this. We played clip after clip of J.D. Vance just throwing haymakers at Kamala Harris, at Tim Walz. He has the capacity to just flame these guys, and he could have last night. I mean, he could have reached in for the jugular and ripped it right out. Straight through the rib cage, ripped out the heart. And he could have done it. He has the power to do that. But what J.D. Vance showed last night was deep restraint, calm, not being too overly emotional. Think about when dad comes home, right? You don't want dad to go flying off into fits of rage. You want dad to be calm. You want dad to be level-headed. You want there to be a sense that someone's in charge. And that's what I think people have been missing, right? You need people who are in charge. They always said the adults were back with Joe Biden. Nobody ever felt like that, right? And you need Donald Trump to have an ally with him running on the ticket who locks in to that role, right? Donald Trump is minted. Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and he's beloved by the American people. You don't need to win over the champions and the fighters and the brawlers anymore. That's been done. The Nelk Boys, Theo Vaughn, Elon Musk. Think of all the like podcasts. It's like, it's Tucker Carlson, like that, bro. You go down to the bars, you go down to the college campuses like we do here. Like the young men are Trump, okay? The men are Trump. You needed to see something from JD Vance, and I want to talk about how impressive it was last night, what we saw. JD Vance comes from such a deficit. Okay, if he's there, if he goes into that debate saying, you know where we need to make up a couple points, where we can take from the other team, a bunch of frat boys are not suddenly going to think, oh, Tim Walz is great. I too want to lift my pinky up in the air and go do jazz hands and kick my feet like I'm in the Rockettes. I too want to like dance around like this all day. No frat like fighter bros are not suddenly going to like think Kamala Harris is super cool. Like that's going to be super rad in the industry to be like, Kamala's my girl. No, man, like that's not cool. Okay. And it never will be. But what JD Vance could do last night would be to take from a pool, primarily women that are on the edge saying, secretly, and we have these women, we've interviewed them. Get me that short, please, of the woman who came up to our microphone and said, I hate Trump, and I'm voting for him anyway. Get me that short. Those women exist. We know it because we do man on the streets, and we go out we go out and we actually talk with them. Those women exist. And that was JD Vance's target audience. I wanted JD Vance to go in and rip the guy's head off. Metaphorically, politically, and proverbially. But that doesn't add. You can steal, you can take in an election that's going to be won on the razor's margins. You can take the 1% of women, or 2%, 5% of women. If you are able to take some of them and move them over into your camp, even if they say they hate Donald Trump, but they want an adult in charge, they don't want an effeminate man who is erratic, screaming and crazy and ruffled and sweating and lying to you, obviously. They don't want that. And if you are to take from that camp, and you have to do it in a way where you're not a bare knuckle brawler, you have to do it in a way that is exactly how JD Vance did it last night. Calm, under control, someone who's under control, someone who's an adult. Last thing I'll say. Imagine being a woman who is an independent, and I know these women exist because we find them, we talk with them in our shows. Imagine being a woman who like turned on the TV last night because you're kind of interested. You never seen JD Vance, you never seen Tim Walz, and Donald Trump you've seen, and Kamala Harris you've seen. Those are known quantities. I think people were actually far more interested in this VP debate than they were in the Kamala Trump debate. I got to be honest with you, and we saw that in our streaming numbers. Imagine turning on the TV last night and you are expecting to see the caricature of JD Vance. JD Vance's caricature has been painted as a leering, goblin-esque ogre, drooling, knuckle dragging his hairy knuckles as he lurches and mouth breathes, watching your children sleep. That's the image that's been painted of JD Vance. Just this monster. Instead, you see the exact opposite. Calm, sharp, thoughtful, consistent, truth-telling, capable of handling insults that have been flung at him, like fact checks that are wrong, vicious moderators, and doing it without getting ruffled or yelling or attacking or throwing hands, and just like being the man. And you watch that and you're like, wow, I've been lied to. That's the deficit that JD Vance made up last night. Tim Walz was supposed to win this debate. I think we have the predicted marketplace. Can we grab that real fast? Tim Walz was supposed to win this debate, was 84% chance of winning this debate, and he lost. That's the deficit betting market breaking performance that JD Vance had. And that's what's really impressive here. Something really, really neat. Can you pop that up? Look at this. He broke the betting markets. And that's because the betting markets said, look at that. Right there. This is Tim Walz's chance. You can see here, it was above, Tim Walz's chance of winning the debate was above 80%. And J.D. Vance crashed it by 45 points. And now J.D. Vance has been declared the victor by everyone from CNN to the New York Times to NBC News to CBS News. All of the polling shows J.D. Vance. There's not a single poll that shows Tim Walz won last night. How amazing. The reason that he was so high in the poll, it was because the entire table was rigged against J.D. Vance in the debate. The moderators, so nasty. Tim Walz tossed softball after softball. Moderators fact-checking. Despicable, disgusting behavior. Sickening, repulsive, reptilian. Oh, they said they wouldn't fact check, and then they did it every single comment until J.D. Vance called them out on it and destroyed them. And they had to cut his mic because it was too good. Baby. So J.D. Vance being able to pull that off is, man, that truly is a political masterclass. And the reality was that debate wasn't for me. I'm proud of J.D. Vance. It wasn't for me. They already got my Trump vote. I got my red MAGA cap. That debate was intended to be the last final message to bridge the gap for undecideds and women, I believe. And J.D. Vance performed absolutely beautiful. He overperformed in a way that I'm not sure we'll ever see again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the person that debate was intended for. Here we go. We actually met her on the street just last weekend. Let's go.
I'm actually not a Trump fan. I think that he is narcissistic, he's egotistical, he's cruel. I don't like the way that he treats people. However, when I heard that Biden was no longer going to run, I was so hopeful that we would have a stand-up person to represent our country. And it's not Kamala. One of our family members was talking to us about how he chose his surgeon, and he chose a very narcissistic surgeon who is very good at what he does. He said that he ended up making this choice not because he was kind, but because he was too egotistical to let himself fail on a life-threatening surgery. And I feel that way about Trump. I feel like even though he is narcissistic, I feel like he is too egotistical not to protect our country, and protection is what we need right now. And in the world that we're living in, I feel like Trump is the right person.
It's easy to discount these voters and to say, hey, we don't care about them, or they're not our brand of conservatism. But actually making America great again is going to require a huge, diverse swath of Americans. And it's really important to know that, like, Fight Club Octagon Trump, while that Trump kicks total ass, we must win, right? Like, you must win. So much like a fighter has to execute and change up their tactics in order to win, which is the ultimate goal. You will win or lose. You've got to win. You've got to change up a little bit of the tactic. And that's what J.D. Vance did in his masterclass. Look at this. Here's further proof. I saw this yesterday. I don't follow this account. Very interesting. Someone who hates J.D. Vance posted this. Somebody who's publicly, viscerally attacks J.D. Vance goes and posts this. Look at this. Lauren Lee. Let's see. What's the account? She got 30,000 followers. All right. She's a humanist, an entrepreneur, a theorist. Doesn't at all. She's an independent. Lauren Lee was the actual target market for this debate. What did she have to say? I'm not a fan of J.D. Vance. I'm a critic of J.D. Vance, she says. However, his performance tonight is nothing short of artful. We saw the writer of Hillbilly Elegy, somebody incredibly articulate and reflexive. The man was present, empathetic, and unable to be flustered by obvious bias of the moderators. I was particularly impressed by his pushback against the war machine. It calls for immediate diplomacy. He clearly solidified the Republican Party as the party of peace. Whew. If it is done in earnest, it marks a critical turning point. Long overdue party realignment. There's a reason Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard have sided with Trump. I hope tonight reminded us of a decorum that we all need in politics. Again, unity, strength, and kindness will win the day. They certainly won the debate tonight. That's a new J.D. Vance voter. This is a brand new J.D. Vance voter. This is a brand new Donald Trump voter. Lauren Lee, I can assure you, I don't know who Lauren Lee is, but I can assure you, this is not your average Trump. This is not your average Trump voter. Can you get back to the profile? All right. Maybe we'll invite her on the show. But like I saw this tweet, I said, man, this is J.D. Vance winning hearts and minds. This is who the debate was intended for. And if you peel off 1%, 3%, 5% of like independents and women, there is no path. Donald Trump's already doing 25% with black men under 50. 1 in 4. And there's a deep, silent Trump movement that I think is far more powerful than anyone cares to acknowledge. We find this also when we go out into the streets and ask people looking at us and going, you know who I got? I'm walking away. You know who I got? And they walk away. And this debate was for them. So I don't mean to belabor this point too long. I just want to say, like a master. Now that I've had time to like think about it, it was masterful. The next debate. This is why J.D. Vance is now on my timeline as like the 2028 contender, because the next debate, you know, J.D. Vance clearly has the capacity for violence. That's a Jordan Peterson paraphrase, right? Like to have the capacity for violence, to be like that is what a man is, right? To be like under control, but to be dangerous. This was J.D. Vance, and it's really impressive. J.D. Vance at his best yesterday. Let's rock and roll here. J.D. Vance making the point again and again and again that Kamala is the president. Kamala is currently in charge. This was such a smart thing. Every single question, he just returns back. I have not been invited into the debate preps. Maybe sometime in the near future. A lot of the people who are going to be running for president in the future, they all come on this show. You're right. You see them all. And so maybe I'll be invited into debate prep. We were invited into Vivek's debate prep, for instance, during the debate in Miami. It was really fun. Definitely broke some windows and walls. I got to tell you, the first rule of debate is you're the candidate. You talk about what you want to talk about. You set the agenda. I mean, if they ask a question about climate change, that's what they're talking about. That's not what you're talking about. You have a message, and the message is that Kamala Harris has wrecked the country. And so every single question needs to return back to Kamala Harris has wrecked the country, actually, because she's in charge. You're asking me a question about how bad things are. America's a shambles. Kamala Harris is the problem. How is she going to solve a problem that she created? She is the problem. Is she going to solve herself? How exactly? Explain that. Here's J.D. Vance doing this in one of the many moments he did this. Masterful. Genius. Go.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer. A lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do, and some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear, is that Kamala Harris has already done it. Because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies, and what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%, open the American southern border, and make middle-class life unaffordable for a large number of Americans. If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now. Not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. And the fact that she isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans. Now, Donald Trump's economic plan is not just a plan, but it's also a record. A lot of those same economists attacked Donald Trump's plan plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom, because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all over the world. So when people say that Donald Trump's economic plan doesn't make sense, I say look at the record. He delivered rising take-home pay for American workers. Now, Tim admirably admits that they want to undo the Trump tax cuts. But if you look at what was so different about Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from previous Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources went to giving more take-home pay to middle-class and working-class Americans. It was passed in 2017, and you saw an American economic boom unlike we've seen in a generation in this country. That is a record that I'm proud to run on, and we're going to get back to that common sense wisdom so that you can afford to live the American dream again. I know a lot of you are struggling. I know a lot of you are worried about paying the bills. It's going to stop when Donald Trump brings back common sense to this country.
What an answer. And it wasn't the question. It's genius. What do you think about having climate change in Martha's Vineyard? What's going on with my friend in Martha's Vineyard? SPF 50 or 80, and like whatever they would ask, like 5 questions about climate change up front. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that are actually problems for the American people. You know, you can do that, right? Like, it's like I want to grab every Republican, I want to smack them around a little bit, grab a Republican, sit them down, smack them around, like, hello, you don't have to bite on the bait. You can actually just talk about the things that you want to talk about. It's amazing. And we watched that all last night. Now, we saw the opposite of that. So that's when daddy's home, right? That's daddy coming home. I mean that, like, did you have a strong father? Did you have like a dad that showed up for you? What was it like when dad came home from work? Was it like a calming, like authoritative presence in the home? A lot of people feel that. In a good, positive family structure, that's what it should be. This is what it felt like, actually, watching like just a calm adult, like explain things calmly and cleanly. This is the opposite, actually, of that vibe. This is a frenetic, feline energy that is all over the place and glitchy, sweaty, and weird. Here we go.
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety.
I become friends with school shooters. I become friends with school shooters. It's probably the line from the night that people are going to remember. In fact, Tim Walz was asked about this comment. I think this will follow him around quite a bit. Tim Walz decided to go to some convenience store, I think, afterwards. Is this clip D, ALX? Yeah. Okay. He was asked, like, hey, how many school shooters are you friends with? Let's go.
What do you think your strongest moment was tonight?
Oh, just, I think it was a good debate. The public got to see a contrast. And I think the ending sums it up, the democracy issues in court.
Governor, you said you become friends with school shooters during the debate. Can you clarify what you meant on that?
Can you clarify what you meant?
How long can you stare at a pizza, dude? Don't think too hard about that. It's like kind of weird. Dude, you said you're friends with all these school shooters. That's not a victorious, that's him and his creepy ass wife. That's not a victorious answer. It's the wrong energy. It's the wrong energy if you're trying to convince people that you're in charge, that you are powerful and in charge, calm, and can lock it in. Speaking of locking it in, dude, like, this is Tim Walz. He was asked one question that he should have been prepared for. It has to do with something we covered yesterday, which is that he, for some reason, for no reason, I guess, nobody likes a liar. All right, take a step back. Like, nobody likes just being openly lied to, but some people lie for fun. Some people are so insecure, they just lie about everything. Yeah? Okay. All right. And Tim Walz lied. Tim Walz lied about China. I want to get to this. Hold please. I want to get to this because it's very important. This is like, if there's one thing that was devastating in this debate, it was the exposing of Tim Walz as someone who's willing to lie for literally no reason, and incapable of like defending or explaining those lies. This is the single worst moment of the debate for Tim Walz. And yes, I include him saying he's friends with school shooters in that. Here we go.
Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot, I will get caught up in the rhetoric, but being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID, and I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community, and then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Okay. All right. Okay. To talk about that answer, non-answer, whatever the hell that was, Tim Walz doing the me no speak English good, hoorah, wow, caveman routine is somebody who is very, very elite at communication. The great Alina Habba joins the program live now. Alina, we appreciate you being on. We know that it is a breakneck schedule for you today. And I hear that you hung out with our executive producer, ALX, last night. I'm very jealous of that.
I was with ALX last night. We had a good time. We were trolling Waltz hard and making each other laugh. It was a really good time. And he made it very easy, Benny. He makes it so easy to troll him, I got to tell you.
Please explain, like, that answer, for instance, like, so why did you lie? Can you tell me this from a woman's perspective? And here, yeah, pop that up. That's great. Can you tell me this from a woman's perspective? Like, because it seems like Tim Walz was trying to explain that he's just a liar, and he lies for no reason. And he did this with Dana Bash when she asked about his military record. That didn't get brought up somehow miraculously last night. But he just says, yeah, I'm a dirty liar, and I lie for no reason. This is a very bad look for a man.
I mean, the best and the biggest tell was when he started, and all he would do is talk about jobs he's had. I'm just surprised he didn't throw McDonald's in there. And then on his mouth, you know, I had to say this, and I love it. It was like watching me who has issues where is this man going, are you sure you're in a vice presidential debate. The reality is, Benny, he got caught in the lottery fact check him once, and then again when he didn't answer the question. Well, it's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost Alina Habba. It sounds like the audio and the connection, Wi-Fi connection, broke down. We'll have our producer's effort. Alina, she completely dropped, and so sorry about that. We do our best to make sure that we can. We do our best to make sure that we can get crystal clear connections with people. Obviously, if you're Alina Habba and you're working as a spokesperson for the Trump campaign, you're traveling everywhere, and so yeah, we do our best. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll see if we can get Alina back on. Maybe Alina Habba was making the point. We're not exactly sure because the audio is so choppy. Producers, we got to make sure that we have that we gut check that from now on, and make sure that we have solid. Maybe we should just start purchasing, getting studios, right? Like just sending people to studios. Potentially it's worth it. But anyway, we're probably here. What Alina was probably talking about was the moderators attempting to rig the debate against JD Vance, and in doing so, trying to help out a floundering Tim Walz. And this would be the moment that the moderators, who promised not to fact check. Okay, let's try this one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Alina Habba back. Alina, hey, how are you? Sorry about that. You dropped off. I know you're traveling.
They just don't want me to troll him that much. So, they keep cutting me off. It's the liberal DNC troll gods. They're cutting me off. Yeah.
Let's try one more time, please. Yes.
Yeah.
So Tim Walz just admits to the entire country he's a liar. That's a bad look.
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's a bad look. I think it's almost as bad as when he called himself a knucklehead. That was special for me. Also going ahead and saying Kamala was a hunter. I personally love that. I love guns. I actually am proud of it, but never have I seen that. I'd like some live footage. I'd like to fact check that one. Hunting of what? Hunting of what exactly? But this is what we get. They literally have diarrhea of the mouth. That's what I watched last night. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Walz is called out on a lie with definitive reporting from CNN that you weren't where you said you were to try and, I don't know, why would you to try and suck up to China? I'm not sure why we would be so proud of where you were when China massacred their democracy supporters, but Tim Walz loves that. He gets off on that. He got married on that date, the Tiananmen Square massacre date, because he wanted something memorable. It's super weird, man. It's super creepy.
So weird.
But when he has asked about it, he goes, me no speak words good. That's the response.
That's his response. That's what you do when you lie. Look, we've seen it a bunch of times. Kamala has a hyena laugh. He has a mumbling, jumbling marble mouth, and then smiles and makes everybody uncomfortable. I mean, it was just a disaster of the highest order. But I'm not surprised by it. I was really proud of JD Vance. I think he was professional. I think he was polite. And considerate, even when he didn't need to be, even though this was not completely the most fair debate, but we're used to that in Trump world. So, day at a time, we're killing it. And that's why the polls are leaning our way. It's obvious.
Yes, that's right. JD Vance's performance last night was not like a throat ripping out, skull smashing, heart ripping out performance. It seemed to be very calm, cool, measured. Yeah. Our entire timeline is filled with people young women who don't like JD Vance or have been psyoped to hate JD Vance, who are astonished at the man they saw on stage last night and are now voting Trump. It's amazing, Alina.
I really hope so. I hope they see that. That is a big part of why he was selected. He is professional. He is patient. He does not get rattled. He's obviously educated, and he's done a good job. And by the way, for President Trump and anybody that knows President Trump, to select somebody who's been a critic of President Trump, knowing that that's what would be the best for the country, that is everything. And that is exactly why he was put in this position. And he's doing a great job of it as part of the Trump Vance team. I'm incredibly proud to stand not just for President Trump, but also for him. And for every woman that's listening and woman that is a little bit undecided or might not even want to vote because they don't like either candidate, let me say this. We are not just looking at 2024. We have a future for the Republican Party. And as women, as mothers, a lot of the issues on the table right now are critical to us. food, inflation, taking care of our children, people indoctrinating our children in schools, the open borders, fentanyl crisis, crime, especially the crime towards women in particular. 340 plus thousand children separated from their families. Rapes are up almost 50 to 60% since Kamala Harris started. These are female issues. Abortion, allowing states to have the right to have voters decide. These are tough, critical issues, but they affect us. They really don't affect anybody else as women. And I think it's incredibly critical that we pay attention and not listen to the noise. They want to make JD unlikable. They want to make Trump unlikable. And they'll try everything they can to do so. But that is unfortunately the current state of mainstream media, which is why I love podcasts like yours, Benny, who get to actually speak.
I was hoping we'd get there because the moderators, like, who the hell cares what you think? I still can't figure it out. Now we go from the ABC News debate where David Muir is fact-checking Donald Trump's sarcasm. I'm not sure you were sarcastic enough in that comment. I mean, mind-blowing. I mean, truly mind-melting. I hope Republicans never agree to debates like this ever again on these terms. However, last night, CBS News lied to you. They said in a press release they wouldn't fact check, and they did multiple times. JD Vance had to call them out on fact checking, and they cut his mic. This must have really irritated you.
It did until JD fact checked them back and said, excuse me, you were not supposed to do that. And now you are. That was a bit of a haba moment. I was very proud of him. He was like, we're not going to do that. But he did it a lot more politely than I would have. I'll tell you that. He fact checked the fact checkers and said, by the way, that was not part of the deal. And since you're going to do that, I'm going to speak, and I'm going to continue to speak because you need to not influence people incorrectly. You cannot do that. We saw what happened with the first debate, the presidential debate. And David Muir, he's got some, to have the nerve to criticize anybody after what he did. I mean, I want to see who gave her the questions and how those earrings were working out for her, because they were definitely in cahoots. But I will tell you, last night, I wish Walz, for his sake, had a pair of earrings himself, because he really, he needed them. He needed them.
Right. What we know about Walz, he seems like he would love to wear a pair of earrings and maybe do some high kicks, kicks with the Rockettes.
Don't get me in trouble, Benny. I'm not commenting. We love all
I
people.
won't. I won't. I'm just saying that we're very proud that JD Vance. It's been a very dangerous environment for the president. We're glad that JD Vance is safe from jazz hands last night. We were worried that it could have been an attack of the jazz hands. All right. They could have flung out of nowhere. We've seen enough Tim Walz events. Those jazz hands can come out of nowhere. And so we were happy JD was safe. This was a massive victory. Alina, every single pollster that we looked through, from CNN to CBS, saying to the Daily Mail, saying that JD Vance won authoritatively this debate. Are you seeing that in your poll numbers and in your internals?
Yeah, we do. We were already doing well. I think, like I said, not to repeat myself prior, but there was a honeymoon stage with Kamala. People were excited because we didn't have a corpse, we had a human, but that's over now. And policies are just non-existent. So we need to see policies step up. We need facts, and we're not getting them from their side, which is why people are going back to the last 3.5 years have been utter hell for our country. The world is falling apart and going on fire. It is time to correct not only America, but fix America so that we can prevent wars and fire hell all over the country and the world. And that's the truth, is we are in a crisis, not just us. And when Trump was in office, when his policies, which work, and you may not want to have dinner with him, it's all good. That's my job. I love it. I think he's the coolest person in the world. But guess what? If he offends you, don't have dinner with him. But God, your bank account will be better and your children will be safer. And that's the truth. And I think the polls are showing us that. Our internal, external polls, Daily Mail, New York Times, we've been seeing them begrudgingly, and Benny, it's begrudgingly. They do not like giving Trump good news, and they have to. They have no choice, because if they want any sense of reliability left for journalists and mainstream media, they're going to have to tell the truth, which is that America is ready for Trump. States are turning red. Michigan is turning red. We've got a bunch of swing states. I've spent a lot of time in Pennsylvania. The love we feel out there is tremendous, and I really think it's going to be a sweep. I think we're going to do amazing.
So there was a moment when Tim Walz said, and I just have to get your response on that, because it's the most viral moment, I think, of the night, when Tim Walz says, I'm friends with school shooters. Now, none of us think that that's true, but you don't want a guy in charge who's capable of saying something like that. That's a Joe Biden level gaffe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he should adopt the hyena laugh. It would have been better than saying, I'm friends with school shooters. He needs to find some sort of coping mechanism for when he has absolutely no idea where the hell he is or what he's saying. It was utterly disturbing. I'm friends with school shooters. I mean, why not just say I'm friends with rapists? What are you doing, buddy? It was crazy. I feel bad for him. I feel like it's abusive when they put people that are out of their element in a situation like that. You saw it with Joe, and then they had to create a podcast studio for him in the White House because they needed a controlled environment. And I fear for Mr. Walz that he might be in the same situation, but we know that because they're not doing interviews, Benny. You know, you asked me to be on your show just a bit ago, and I can throw a shirt on and come on and speak. We need real people. These are not them. These are paid actors by the DNC. And all they're trying to do is stall another 4 years. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop.
It's very interesting that you said that. I hope you don't mind a follow-up here real quickly. Even the commentators on CNN were like, you know, Tim Walz comes off as a guy who's never done adversarial media and was shocked at like any pushback on his record ever. You know, he lives in a bubble. And then CNN's like, you know, Dana Bash is like, JD Vance comes on my show and I give him hell. And he clearly performs under pressure. And this is a good thing. And it's something that I think your team does so very, very well. And I know you advise obviously on media and do an enormous amount of adversarial media yourself. Sometimes you versus 200 adversarial reporters. We've seen it. That iron sharpens iron kind of thing.
Look, Waltz and Kamala, they can't even go on their friendlies. So we got a problem when you can't even go on the friendlies without a script. And you know what that means. Meanwhile, me, you know, I'm still waiting for MSDNC to have me come on, or The View. They love talking about me. Let's go. Let's go. Put your boxing gloves on. Look, these are not the caliber people. These are not the caliber people that should be making life decisions for the rest of America. They cannot even run their own conversations with friendly journalists. I mean, what is a bigger warning than that? Hiding in a basement, we've lived that for 3.5 years. Sitting on Rehoboth Beach, eating ice cream while the world is falling apart. We've lived that. We don't need to replace crap with crap. We need to get real leadership back. And it's just a hands down. I can't even imagine that it's a question for anybody that they would be voting for these people. I just can't. I'm getting to a point for me, Benny, where I'm just not even sure what else I have to say other than open your eyes, open, you know, let's listen clearly. And I think the answer is incredibly obvious.
I think people had their brains broken with TDS, and I think that's it. And they're just running on that, and that train is out of fuel. And last night's debate performance by JD Vance, I think, brought over a lot of people who might have like had their brains broke a little bit and convinced them that no, this is what the actual adults in charge look like. People that are confident and can talk about issues. It was the most substantive debate I've seen in my lifetime. I think arguably the best presidential forum debate I've seen potentially in years. And so, you know, huge kudos to you and your campaign. Those people would probably also be shocked this morning that the campaign that says that they're all about women is trying to nominate a man who allegedly is abusive, not only to his nanny and his ex-wife. We're talking about Doug Emhoff here, Kamala Harris's husband. But this morning, according to multiple news reports, there's somebody who's physically abusive with ex-girlfriends. Just talking through the news here real quick, but I have a feeling you'll have a take on this. Booze-fueled assault, slapping around his ex-girlfriend in fits of rage. This is on top of the story where he impregnated his nanny that broke up the his first marriage. Democrats are trying to put this man into the White House. Not good.
He's her lead surrogate. Currently, he is one of her lead surrogates. If you name surrogates for presidential campaigns, he is one of them. Listen, everybody has a past, and when you take this risk of going into a presidential election, you better damn well take a look at what you're hiding in the closet, what you have in your treasure trove, because they will find it. And it's sad to me that this is the way the world works, that people aren't more honest with themselves and saying, maybe I am not the best candidate because my husband has a past. If this is true, of being abusive, I have no patience for anybody like that. And I'm most certainly not going to have patience for people like that running our country. If the women want to talk in this country about policy and about the men that are going to be in charge and making decisions for our bodies and for us, it most certainly is not going to be somebody who's put his hand on a woman. And there are very few things that are an Achilles heel for me. But if somebody puts their hand on a woman and they're supposed to sit in the Oval Office and help go to bed and give the president of the United States advice, well, that's very much a reason not to vote for her. Because if that is who she selected as her husband, if that is who she thought was the best suited person for her, and that's somebody who's going to be giving her advice, I don't want that anywhere near me, my decisions, my kids, my family. And there's just I have no tolerance for abuse. When I say none, I mean zero. Zero tolerance for abuse. And you could get me to sound off for an hour on that. There's a special place in hell for men that put hands on women.
Yes, I could not agree with you more. Somebody who's in a faithful and happy marriage, and I know you are too. Like, this is unspeakable. It says something very dark about who you are. Just want to follow up because I think it's important to obviously say we're not trying to slander or smear the guy. This has been well reported. Here we go. Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, cheated with his first wife, impregnated their nanny. This guy's a real scumbag, and Democrats and an enormous amount of women are going to vote to put this guy into power. That seems like suicidal.
Benny, don't forget who Joe Biden married. People don't talk about it enough. But who is Jill Biden? Jill Biden. Jill Biden was married to the brother or something, or the nanny, and the same thing happened. There was, affairs and all kind, and then they died, and he married her. That story is so convoluted. You have to look it up. But when I heard that, I'm like, these are the quality of people. This is who they are in their private life. That's who they are. They're hitting people, abusing them, knocking up the nanny, and then hitting people and that to me is just beyond any level of comprehension that these people could actually be serving. And you know what? All I'll say on that, because I know what the negative commentary will say on Twitter. I know President Trump. I've spent years with President Trump. President Trump has been accused of so many horrible things, but these are not accusations. These are things that now we're saying have come out and are true. Well, that's a problem. And it tells you a lot about the character, what goes on in somebody's home. Look at their children. I always say that tells you a lot about who people are. And I think it speaks volumes, frankly.
This seems like a crazy question to have to ask, but here we go. Do you believe that beating women is a disqualifying factor in this presidential race? Should Kamala Harris drop out considering this new revelation?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so.
I
would hope so.
I don't know how you answer for this. And this is all over the place.
It's called morals.
Credible reports.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because it's morals, Benny. It's something it's called morality. It's called having a compass, a moral compass. And that is lacking. When they flip-flop on their policies, it tells you there's no true moral compass. They're just trying to win you over. Like I said, paid actors. That's literally paid actors. So that's what I think. And look, the decision's so clear. Trump 2024, baby. We got to win. We got to clean up the garbage.
Yeah. Take out the trash. Can you, in closing, Alina, can you give the people a message for the next 34 days, a little bit of marching orders, and what should we expect from the president and his team?
Yeah, President Trump has been consistent. We have policies. We've written them. We've put them up. What do we need from you? And I and President Trump and our team need from you. Get your ballots in early. If you have them, vote early. Go on Trump Force 47. There's training. I host some of them, and I've made guest appearances on them for election integrity. If you see something, say something. We will not tolerate anything this election. They're going to try shenanigans. We're not here for it. And the truth is, you've got to vote early. Vote early and make sure you take your friends with you. And then we will be okay, because we have to be too big to rig. And President Trump says that. I'm just going to echo it. But that means getting your butt in the car and going to vote in person. If you don't have a mail-in ballot that you've received, vote early. Encourage people to vote. We cannot win without every single one of us. So I think it's obvious who's the person you should select, but now it's time to really save our country. We are losing it. We are losing the world, frankly, because of our country being in such a demise. Yeah, I actually think that if God was done with America, that President Trump might
Might have had a bullet, quite frankly.
Agree. Or two. Or two.
Yeah, that's right. But like the forces of darkness, man, will not prevail. And so it's a very special time. We know that Alina Habba can shoot. We have video evidence of that, actually. We know that Alina Habba can shoot, straight shot. Here's her handle on X. I'm not sure if we have those clips of you shooting loaded exactly. So maybe we'll have to do that next time. 350,000 Americans can't be wrong. Go follow Alina Habba and make sure that the next White House press secretary goes rolling in there with all the spice and heat and fire that she deserves. Thank you, Alina. Man. Godspeed.
Thanks. Good to see you. God bless.
Good to see you. So close. We do have the footage of Alina Habba shooting. We do have it. Here it is. We're not going to, we would never tease something like that and not deliver. Obviously. All right. Obviously. There you go. Alina Habba taking some. Shotgun. I don't know the brand, but a nice sounding shot. Like crisp and clean. Nice clock. Got him. Well oiled. Rocking and rolling. Well oiled last night. JD Vance, man. Fact checking the fact checkers. This is a clip, possibly the best clip of JD Vance last night. They had to cut his mic. He was doing so well. And a clip that caused me to fly into a fit of rage because, well, I'll tell you after the clip. Here we go.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora.
Thank you, Margaret.
Nobody wants to hear from you. Nobody needs to hear you harp and lecture and snivel more about climate change. Can you believe the entire debate had like the first 15 minutes were about climate change? They weren't about absenteeism of the Biden administration with the hurricane. They weren't like, hey, Tim Walz, like, why didn't you go down? Why haven't you been to the hurricane disaster area? Why hasn't Joe Biden been to the hurricane? Why was Joe Biden at the beach and not doing anything? Why was Kamala Harris staging photo ops? Why don't you care for your fellow Americans? That would have been real questions. Instead, we got a bunch of attacks. Somehow this hurricane was used as an attack vector on JD Vance. Every question was framed as an attack vector on JD Vance, which makes his performance so much more impressive. And the fact that JD did not take the bait, and did not get flustered, did not get angry, did not yell, did not throw fists and hands, is really to his incredible credit. It is the best debate performance, considering all of the factors, maybe I've ever seen. Maybe I've ever seen. I got to tell you, we got salt that libs. Get your salt shakers ready. The libs were crying last night. We got 2 back-to-back salty clips for you. Make sure that the chat. What do we think of that, chat? What do we think, chat? Come on, chat. What do we think of that, chat? I know the chat was rolling last night. Make sure we get those salt shakers loaded into the chat and salt these libs as they melt down over the fact that JD Vance just kicked Tim Walz's ass back to China.
I think the big picture takeaway from this is that one of these candidates is much slicker than the other, is a much more practiced kind of professional debate style speaker, and the other candidate won. There was one bad moment for Tim Walz in this debate where he got mixed up and embarrassed in answering a question about exactly what month he had been in China in relation to the Tiananmen Square protest. But then on guns, on January 6th, on Obamacare, on the economy, on blaming everything on the border, back again on health care, on abortion, on every issue on substance, J.D. Vance was very polished and very slick, and Tim Walz beat him on all the substantive points. At least that was my take on it.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
So when they're that salty, there's only one thing to do, and that's to meme them. Remember, team, remember, when they cry, we meme them crying. We meme them till they cry. Then we meme them crying. And the circle of life continues. Around and round. Time is a flat circle. We meme them till they cry, and then we meme them crying. Here's what Donald Trump did last night. Donald Trump memeing them crying, showing us the way. I need a VP dumber than me. I need a VP dumber than me. I need a VP dumber than me. Me no speak words good. Me caveman. Hooga booga. What is fire? What is giant ball that rises in the sky? This is Tim Walz answers. Sell Walz, buy Vance. We know that that's not a real meme because if Nancy Pelosi, can we go back to that? We know that's not a real meme because if this was Nancy Pelosi, she would have done this 3 weeks ago, right? She would have had the insider knowledge to have done this 3 weeks ago, right? Buy when it's cheap. Okay, here we go. Trump Vance 2024. We are not friends with school shooters. These are all memes that Trump shared. Okay, I want to make this very clear. Trump shared these memes. All right, you put them up on Truth Social. I'm not sure how many of them made their way to X, but come on, meme energy. I have become friends with school shooters. President Trump sharing this meme. That is a exact quote. Maybe Tim Walz will have an opportunity when. Yeah, I don't think that Tim Walz is ever gonna face another reporter ever again. No, like they will never let Tim Walz go on camera ever again for anything. I'm a knucklehead, which is exactly what Tim Walz says. I'm a knucklehead. It's a quote. Okay, so then what? Like, are you really the kind of guy that you want in charge of the country? Why does he look like Mao Zedong? Like he even has the same haircut and everything. Sweaty, weird, creepy. Like, is that really the expression? We're gonna do a Tim Walz. Yeah, you don't want that guy. Here we go. This is the one image that sums up the debate. Look at that, J.D. Vance. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the meme of the meme of the day. Do we have that? What Jerry sent loaded? Yeah, it was like very good. This is the meme of the day. Ooh, so now we have two memes. President Trump pointing, J.D. Vance looking. Yeah, that's good. It's good. Here we go. Just let it rip when we got it. This is the energy. This is the 2016 energy. You win on meme energy, right? And so the memes were all last night created around JD Vance being just kind of just an alpha, right? Like just an alpha. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we want to talk about some solid gold memes. Maybe we'll even play one. Is it up?
Yeah, we got it.
Here we go. It's a solid gold meme for you.
No music.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, buddy. It's good. We play this through the ad read. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. You know what? Solid gold meme, solid gold company, Allegiance Gold is the company that we trust for solid gold, literal solid gold. This is meme gold, and you can have actual gold, hold it in your hands. This is really awesome to have. I'm very glad that I bought gold like a couple of years ago. Now it's like doubled in price. It's great. And I'll probably never sell. Like, it's sweet. It's like an actual commodity. And in times of revolution and war and insanity, I mean, obviously there were hundreds of ballistic missiles fired at Israel yesterday. Can you see all-out war descending into the Middle East and across Eastern Europe? And it's crazy times. Buy gold now, please. Don't let them print your money into absolute and total fiscal non-existence. Go to protectwithbenny.com today. Call 844-66-PENNY. Right now, get $5,000 of free silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't get fooled by inflated stock values. Crazy crypto. Protectwithbenny.com. Something solid, baby. Protectwithbenny.com. My friends at Allegiance take care of you. All right. What an interesting little season here. We have something that we are sad to admit to you, which is that we had Corey Mills booked along with Jeremy from the courtroom, but we, as you saw with Alina, we've had a small technical issue on the streaming service that we use called StreamYard. Now, StreamYard's typically very quick to fix problems, but like we never have our guests drop, and our guests have been unable to join. And so sadly, we'll have to move those two excellent guests to tomorrow. And we have some great reports back to you, some reports that we will have back to you on what we and this audience have done collectively together to help those who have suffered from the hurricane. I don't know if we have any of the footage loaded that we've taken. If not, do we have B-roll from our missions? Okay. Because we've been flying missions with Mercury 1 and with Corey Mills, wonderful member of Congress, and we've been sending supplies. So we've had our team traveling to the air base to get supplies onto helicopters to be brought into Appalachia because we believe in America first, and these are our principles. And when people call out to help, we will show up to help. That's it. We got to be we feel like it's our obligation to probably be in the studio. So it's our obligation to be in the studio during these times so that we can report. But we've sent our team out to film and to cover and to provide. And so this is what we are doing together. And we're really excited about that. We thank you. We thank you for being members on the channel. We thank you for the support, joining the Benny Brigade, which you can join at bennyjohnson.com. We thank you most importantly for just watching. Like if you want, last night we had record viewership, above 80,000 concurrents. We were one of the most watched channels, all of YouTube, just destroying shadowboxing, just destroying corporate media. There's a ravenous appetite out there, starvation appetite out there for truth and real news and actual reporting and journalists and reporting by people who don't hate you. This is us not hating our fellow Americans. Margaret Brennan, Nora O'Donnell, David Muir, Lindsay Davis, these people, who the hell are these people even, right? They're nothing. They have no audience. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody even recognizes them on the street. They have nothing. They have no connection with people. They don't care about their fellow Americans. Like we do collectively. We do together. So by watching the program, you help us do stuff like this, which is so awesome. Look at how cool this is. Kind of wish we were flying in that helicopter, right, Killer Klein? That would be so awesome. Dude, maybe we'll do it under different circumstances. It's just too crazy. We got to lock in. We had this conversation internally. It's like we just got to lock in. We weren't going to miss the debate. We weren't going to miss the reporting. These next 30 days are too important. So we're very glad to have been able to help. Very thankful for our partners at Mercury One, the great representative Corey Mills. And we're here. We're here to help, and you are helping. And we thank you. Somebody who hasn't been helping is Kamala Harris, who has skipped all of her briefings. Ooh, boy, moving down to C block here. Kamala Harris slammed for ditching hurricane season preparedness briefings. Oh no! What do you know? Kamala Harris has decided not to attend any of the hurricane briefings. This would have, of course, been a George Bush style Katrina disaster in New Orleans, right? Remember what they did to George Bush with Katrina? George Bush hates black people. Does Kamala Harris hate black people? When do we get that news conference, right? When does a rapper come up and say Kamala Harris hates black people? Every American who's affected deserves to have their leaders. Every American, no matter where they are, whether it's Lahaina in Maui, that's a blue state. Probably no Republicans live there. I don't know. Probably the Republicans live there now, and they're all going to be voting Trump because Joe Biden did jack for those people. Kamala Harris did nothing for them. They claim to care. They don't care. They only care about power. They're demons. All right? This is what actually caring means. You know the place the worst affected by all of this is a Democrat enclave. We know Western North Carolina very, very well. A Democrat enclave called Asheville, North Carolina. They have Democrat mayor. They send Democrats to the state house. It's like where all the Democrats are located there. They're the one who hit hardest. We don't ask people their political affiliation. We want to help them. They're our fellow Americans. They're our countrymen. Kamala Harris doesn't care. She certainly doesn't care about Democrats. Have you checked in on how Democrat cities are doing? Detroit, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia. Have you checked in on these cities? They're in shambles. They're cratering. You know where all the population is moving in America? It's wild if you follow the population trends. They're moving out to rural. Rural America is roaring right now. People are moving rural. They're exiting the cities because of people like Kamala Harris. Because of what Kamala Harris has done to her voters. This is why they're in panic. This is why they have to bring in 30 million more voters and get them to sign up to vote illegally and hope that they can shove so many votes in that they can't all be challenged. This is why they're doing it. Because they've lost. They've lost everywhere. And we're going to prove it. We're going to prove it. We have some very interesting content coming up. Mark my words. The Trump gas station, we're building it. Oh, yeah. The Trump gas station, we're building it. We got hundreds of MAGA hats that we're going to be handing out. And it's going to be an exciting role. Stay tuned to this space, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to just dive into this really quickly. It is breaking news. It's something that is astonishing and shocking. And you just heard Alina Habba, who's a spokesperson for the president, saying this is disqualifying. And I believe it is as well. You don't want an abuser, a woman abuser, in the White House. Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, forcefully slapped ex-girlfriend for flirting with another man in a booze-fueled assault. Oh, okay. Well, maybe he should be in prison, actually. The second gentleman, not very gentlemanly, of Doug Emhoff, 59, struck the woman in the face so hard that she spun around, waiting in line for a valet at the Cannes Film Festival in France. Vice President Kamala Harris assaulted his girlfriend. One of her friends told the Daily Mail that the woman called her immediately after the incident, sobbing in her cab, describing the assault. The Daily Mail is not naming the woman, who is a successful New York attorney. The second friend said that the woman had been dating Doug Emhoff for 3 months, told her about the alleged violence at the time. A third friend told the Daily Mail that this individual told her in 2014 that she had dated Emhoff, recounted the full story of the alleged abuse when Senator Harris was in the news, grilling Brett Kavanaugh over alleged sexual abuse. Wow. The friends, who all asked to not be named for fear of retaliation by Emhoff, shared with the Daily Mail pictures of him and Jane together. The pseudonym is Jane. All right. From the relationship in 2012. The documents and communications corroborating the story. The shocking claims follow revelations that Emhoff cheated on his first wife and mother of 2 children at 2008, impregnating his daughter's nanny, who worked as her grade school teacher. Emhoff admitted the affair with the nanny and the teacher. No word on what happened to the pregnancy. You can fill in the blanks there. These people are demons. They're demons. All 3 of Jane's friends said that she also told them about a disturbing alleged incident during the relationship. The second gentleman, Emhoff, nonchalantly admitting to impregnating his wife's nanny and child's tutor. Okay, all right. So, not good. Not good. What a monster. The decision has never been clearer. The time is now. And ladies and gentlemen, we will win. It's going to be fun. Election night is going to be really, really fun for us. Thank you for sticking with us through a show that has had 1 or 2 technical difficulties. We do our very, very best to bring you the best on this program, and we will continue to endeavor to do that. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our channels, including our brand new channels, for new content every single week. This channel, Benny Brews, we are filming our first long-form interview on Benny Brews today. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be in person. So technical difficulties. We're doing in person, IRL. Technical difficulties suck. I don't like them as much as I probably hate them more than you. But when you do it in person, man, IRL makes it a lot easier. So Benny Brews, we're filming that first content there, just launch that series. We thank you to all of you who have already subscribed. And Benny on the Block is rolling. That channel is off like a rocket. So get in early. Get in early. Benny on the Block. Please subscribe. They're linked in the description. Our verse of the day, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that you get linked up with your Lord and Savior, from Acts 20. However, I consider my life worth nothing to me. My only aim is to finish the race, complete the task that Christ has given me, the task of testifying the good news of God's grace. Woo! Don't you love reading the good news every day? Man, don't you love it when we have a day like this where it is good news? It's great. We love it. It's going to feel, you can feel it in the bones. Nice warm cup of bone marrow goes down and hits the soul. You want to make sure that you complete the task. It's been one heck of a year. It's been a long couple of years, honestly. Felt like a lifetime the last couple of years. We've been fighting, and we've been on the right side of this, and it's so wonderful to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just great. It's great to be on the side of right. It's great to be on the side of light and the side of saltiness. Those salt shakers ready, baby. Here we go. On to finish the race. It's your boy Benny. March with us. Can't defeat an army of happy warriors, right? That's what we are. So stand upright. Be upstanding. And make sure that you finish the race. We'll be there with you. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Damn, this burger's good. Yo, Chinaman, taste some of that American democracy. You, me, rap battle now. America, the most powerful force. We're shooting down y'all while we're winning awards. Come on, man, you think you can rap? You probably work in a sweatshop and eat cat.
Hey, you f***ing fat. Your mama told me you need a smack. A Chinatown here, a Chinatown there. Before you even know it, Chinatown everywhere.
What? Huh? Could you say that again? Cause I barely understood a word that you said.
But we're the best fighter. Nothing will be finer. Soon the whole world will be made in China.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.